Welcome, welcome to this morning's Heffner Women's Leadership 60 Career Lessons in 60 Minutes. My name is Alexandra Pinto. I'm a producer and anchor at CTV News Kitchener. It's great to be back again. We were talking a bit before about last year. I don't know how many of you were at the one at Langton Hall, but the weather was exactly the same. Terrible. That's okay. It happens, it's January. So before we begin, I want to take a moment to acknowledge we live and work on the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples as we seek a renewed relationship based on the foundation of mutual understanding and respect. As participants in today's event, we're coming together as one. We believe everyone is free to be their true self and receive the same respect and opportunity regardless of age, ethnicity, gender, culture, identity, sexual orientation, or beliefs, or language. And we hope you'll join us in fostering a very positive environment here today. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for today's event. Without their support, programs like this one would not be possible. So thank you to our title sponsor, Heffner Lexus and Heffner Toyota. Gold sponsors, Home Hardware Stores Limited and Wilfrid Laurier University. Event sponsors, MTE and the Relipsky Partnership. Supporting sponsor, Oxford Learning. Media sponsor, CTV Kitchener. Design sponsor, W Design Co. And our event partners today, Good Co Productions and the Walper Hotel. So please join me in thanking these great sponsors. I would now like to welcome Jessica Porosnik, Human Resource and Health and Safety Manager with Heffner Lexus and Heffner Toyota, to the stage to say a few words on behalf of our title sponsor today.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this amazing event. I was also at last year's event, and it was not very nice to drive. As Alexandra said, my name is Jessica Porosnik. I am the Human Resource Manager for Heffner Lexus Toyota. On behalf of the team at Heffner Lexus Toyota, I'd like to welcome you to the Walper Hotel and the KW Chamber of Commerce Ladies Network event today. Heffner Lexus Toyota has been a proud partner with the KW Chamber of Commerce for over 30 years, and we can all agree that the Chamber puts on wonderful events to help us in our professional lives. Last year, as I mentioned, was my first time at this event, and it was a great time learning lots of valuable lessons from the presenters, and I look forward to hearing what the presenters are bringing forward today so that I can grow my role at Heffner Lexus Toyota. So again, thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoy the event.
All right, thank you so much for that, Jessica. So we'd also like to acknowledge some of the female founders. Several are in the room with us here today. The Female Founders Series is presented by the KW Chamber of Commerce and Scotiabank. Over the past few months, the following female founders have shared their business story. Shelby Plaskett, Clean and Tidy. Wendy Stolley, Porchlight Relocations and Porchlight Property Management. Sarah Mumtaz Law Offices. Nancy Priest, Glass of Learning Inc. And Stephanie Solis, Little Mushroom Catering. So you can check out those full interviews over at greaterkwchamber.com. So today's event would also not be possible without continued support of the Women's Leadership Committee. So these ladies volunteer their time to help bring events like this again to life. So a big thank you to Allison Burke, Oxford Learning Waterloo, Rebecca Hempy, the Delivery Guys Inc., Janice McVeigh, Dean Group, Adjua Minta, For All Ice Cream, Carla Moore, Bingamans, Shannon Shaw, Talbot Uniforms and Promotional Products, Sandra Stone, Rachel Summers, RBC Royal Bank, Leslie Warren, W Design Co., Reem Al-Khadi, Zen Organize Me, and Kim Wilhelm, the Food Bank of Waterloo Region. So a big thank you to these ladies again. Okay, so speaker number one today. You're going to be hearing from 6 in total incredible speakers. They're each going to be sharing 10 pieces of career advice, and all 60 tips will be sent to you as well following the event here today. So hopefully you leave with some very insightful tips and, you're inspired for your future or current endeavors. Our first speaker today is Anandi Carol Woolery. Anandi is a program coordinator and an editor at the X Page, a storytelling workshop, a community arts initiative that connects women who are immigrants or refugees with artists who assist and mentor them in writing and performing their own stories. She's a participant in the 2020 X Page workshop, and her story was titled The Virgin. She returned for the 2021 and 2022 workshops as a mentor and editor. Anandi is a passionate storyteller. She is the host of Your Region This Week on Rogers TV. She's the 2023 Area 61 Toastmasters International Speech Contest winner, a member of the local theater troupe Flex Sweet Talent, where she wears many hats as an actor, writer, producer, and director. Currently, she is collaborating on a project to preserve the stories of Caribbean immigrants and their descendants here in Waterloo Region. So please join me in welcoming Anandi Carol Woolery to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. And I realized in my introduction I neglected to say one thing. What is the X Page versus the X Page workshop? Because I will be referring to both. X Page is a writing method developed by cartoonist Linda Barry. It is all outlined in her book Syllabus. And the X Page workshop was started in Waterloo Region in 2019 by writers Carrie Schneider and Lamise L. Ferry. So when I say X Page exercises, I'm referring to Linda Barry. And when I'm talking about X Page workshop, I'm talking about our local workshop. So let's get into it. Lesson number 1, show up to the empty page. To me, this is the most important. That is definitely lesson number 1. As a young girl and then a teenager and then growing up to be a woman, I dreamed to be a writer. And I had it all planned out. I was going to write a novel set in my home country of Trinidad and Tobago. I would win prestigious awards, and the critics would hail me as the new Nobel laureate, like V.S. Naipaul from Trinidad and Tobago. And I would be on Oprah, and she'd be waving her book saying, wow, you gotta buy this book, you gotta read this book. I had it planned down to every last detail. In 2019, my high school friend, Claire Adam, published her novel, Golden Child. It won the Desmond Elliott Prize for the Best Debut Novel. Critics saw her potential as the next V.S. Naipaul. And yes, her book was one of Oprah's book selections. Claire was really warm and encouraging when I reached out to congratulate her. And one of my questions to her was, how long did it take you to write this book? And she thought about it. She said 10 years. And that made me pause. I thought, how many years have I spent writing my novel? I need to use my hands to show you this. This is how much time I had spent on my novel compared to the 10 years that Claire had spent. So I had never showed up to the empty page. But I did that in 2020 when I joined X Page. And in our X Page exercises, it is a literal empty page. We have notebooks bigger than this. This is just a sample. We have our college-ruled notebooks. We turn to the empty page, and then we begin. Lesson number 2, and this comes right from our X Page workshop. We relax, and we meditate, and we fully enter the creation space. In our exercises, we don't warm up. We actually cool down. We rid ourselves from the worries and stress of the real world. We'll do self-portraits in crayon, maybe a 3-minute journal entry, and we do a lot, it's a Linda Barry thing. We do a lot of spirals, lots and lots of meditative spirals. And this is what I take also into my real life. I am actually, okay, don't boo. I am I'm an auditor with the Canada Revenue Agency. That is my 9 to 5. And before I enter that work world, every morning I do have to start with a bit of inspirational reading and prayer and meditation. And then that way I'm just free to create whatever that new day looks like. Lesson number 3, and we do this in the X Page workshop, we imagine and we brainstorm. In the X Page, we're free to play. There's no right or wrong answers. Actually, we will actually spoil our page first. We will just do a big X over one page. The page is wrecked. There's nothing else that you can put on the page to make it, dumber. Like, it's fine. It's already wrecked. So that gives you the freedom of just writing, and it gives you that freedom. And I'm personally surprised at what comes out of my self-conscious being, because I have that freedom. As mentioned before, I work in probably the most bureaucratic-esque organization, the Canada Revenue Agency. When there are special projects at work, I always raise my hand, because in these project rooms, we're actually encouraged to imagine new ways to raise the quality and the efficiency of our services and our audit. And I love that part. I love the brainstorming and the imaginations. Lesson number 4 in the X Page workshop, we set a timer and we also plan out our calendar. At some point, I know I need accountability. Projects are just so easy to be pushed off. In the X Page, we have short timelines and we have long timelines. The long one is we have 12 weeks to produce a story that's ready for publication and to have that story be performed on the stage at the end of the 12 weeks. So the micro goal is actually the 8-minute timer, and that we set that timer before we start writing. Lesson number 5, we set the timer, and it's time to create. And in those 8 minutes, we write. We don't stop to correct the pronunciation or to perfect a turn of phrase. There are no distractions. This is our time. You might find this at work or at home. There's so many shiny things that are there to distract you. Someone asks you a favor and you're a nice person, or because you're the expert. You guys know what weaponized incompetence is, right? You've heard that phrase? People in your life with weaponized incompetence, so you're the only person that can do this for them? No. This is your time. You have to carve it out. You are very important, and prioritize you and your work. Lesson number 6, we're done writing, and we have to stop for what we do you don't have to do anything. I'm just passing along what I know. It's time to stop and share your imperfect first attempt with your trusted circle. This was a very important lesson for me. I'm a perfectionist, and I don't mean it in a boastful way. I'm perfect. No, I am very far from perfect, but I am a perfectionist. And this is a holdover from my childhood, because if I wasn't perfect, around my parents, there were very harsh consequences. So it really is a bit of a defense mechanism. But I'm not a child anymore. Like, I'm grown up, and I recognize that the perfectionism led to paralysis, which then led to procrastination. And it's just not serving me anymore. And truly, at the end of the day, I don't want to I don't want to share any imperfect product with anyone. I want to keep my imperfections to myself. In our workshop, there's one rule, and when someone shares, there's no commenting. We just applaud. And the first time that I experienced this, it was absolutely transformational. I thought, wow, it wasn't perfect, and the world is still standing. Just getting that story out there. And the fact that people took the time to listen to something with flaws, it freed me up and gave me the courage to keep on writing. And in the 7th lesson, let your creation rest. Put your notebook, put it away, put it in your backpack, put it in your office drawer, and don't, as MC Hammer says, you can't touch this. Just leave it alone and let it go. Trust me on this one. Lesson number 8. Now we can get to it. We can revise, and we revisit it, and we revise. After a set period, you can look at your creation again. Usually as a writer, I like to wait for 1 week after looking at a draft. In the X page, we're under really tight deadlines, so we say 48 hours, and then you can look at your draft again. And that time away will give you fresh perspectives. Sometimes after I write that first draft, I am just so convinced that I'm unoriginal and I'm very dull. But then when I look at that very same draft a week later, I am like, damn it, Andy, that's not too bad. I like this, I like this. And I find myself smiling when I read it again. So I revisit, I revise, I clean up the grammar and the spelling, and I might do some restructuring as well. Then I leave it for a while, let it rest, and then revisit and revise. Lesson number 9, lean on the experts. Wait, what? So the experts only show up at lesson number 9? You betcha. I feel experts are important, but if they come in too early, I am tempted to emulate what they are doing. By letting the experts come in a little later, I've had the chance to create my own story, my own product, and my own innovation. And the experts are there to help me raise the quality. At the CRA, currently I am creating workshop content, and it's the training managers who help me bring it to the learning platform where I actually have no experience. And that's where I need the help. So together, we can actually provide quality training for our auditors. I bring the content, they bring the technical expertise, and together it works. And on our X-Page team, we are so fortunate. We have award-winning writers and editors, empty space theater staff, and a voice coach, the amazing Melissa Durrell. And these superpowers raise the level of our storytelling from modest to magnificent. And the last one here, and I'm take a small tangent. I've often wondered where the expression break a leg comes from. I had to Google it, and according to the Transcendence Theatre Company, I'll have to read it here, the common theory refers to an actor breaking the leg line of the stage. In the early days of theater, this is where ensemble actors were cued to perform. If actors were not performing, they had to stay behind the leg line, which also meant they wouldn't get paid. So if you were to tell an actor to break a leg, you were wishing them the opportunity to perform and get paid. And that is my last career lesson. Break a leg. Break a leg, know your value. If you stay in the wings of the theater with the greatest story never told, how is this of value to the world? Break a leg, share your talents, drink in the applause, and collect that check. Also, don't forget to report it on your tax return. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anandi, for that. All right, up next, we are going to hear from Megan Dietrich, the CEO of the Gemini Agency, Director of Thrive Wellness Programs, an honors graduate of Canada's National Ballet School, former professional dancer, a Pilates instructor, ballet coach, and wellness teacher. Megan's passion lies in helping others thrive, be it with her models at the agency or through her Thrive Wellness programs. She works with people to really help them become the best versions of themselves. She focuses on building confidence, developing self-awareness, establishing healthy habits, and facilitating community through classes, events, workshops, and clubs. Using components of the fashion and beauty industry alongside wellness and movement practices, she really thrives by empowering others. So let's give a warm welcome to Megan.
All right. Okay, can everybody hear me? All right, is my skirt stuck anywhere? It's good. All right, perfect. Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining us on this snowstorm day. This is literally the week when snowstorms happen. So I'm glad that we all made it here safe, and I'm here to help us thrive. So as mentioned, I am the owner of the Gemini Agency. We have two pillars to the agency: the modeling component, where we have 125 models that we represent for campaigns, print work, runway, and then we have our Thrive programs, where we help the next generation to really thrive, to step into their greatness and reach their full potential. And in my time of working at the agency, I've been there for, we're heading on to 20 years now, believe it or not. Really, it just goes by in a blink of an eye. But when I've been working with all these students, all of these parents have been coming to me and saying, well, what about me? What about us? Can I have a program? Can I come for a summer camp? And I thought, well, damn, yeah, we absolutely need those. And so here I am today to share the next evolution of Thrive programs that we're going to be offering. So I am a firm believer that the greatest and the most important adventure of our lives is discovering who we are. Doesn't matter when we're teenagers, when we're young adults, when we're parents that are wishing our children good luck as they head off to university, or when they are getting married. We are always in the next evolution of our lives, in our next era, if you will. And so discovering who we are, our forgotten histories, our mindsets, our belief systems, past traumas, skills, passions, moral codes, and what motivates us is so important. And I do honestly believe that these are what contribute to our sense of self and our unique individuality. So understanding who we are and what makes us tick is fundamental to our career or our entrepreneurial success, because everything that we do as an entrepreneur for our careers and for ourselves stems from who we are, what we stand for. So with a little self-discovery comes the opportunity to design a life that is, in our case, or in the career case of entrepreneurs, a career that is for us, by us. So let me rephrase that, because I like to stumble on my words sometimes. We want to design a life for us, by us. So how do we do that if we don't know who we are? If we don't know where we are in our lives? If we don't know what's happening in the world around us? We've just come out of COVID. Life throws us a lot of curveballs and some challenging situations. And, you know, like I said, COVID threw us a curveball. It made us pivot and pivot again and pivot again and pivot again. Thankfully, I own a modeling agency and I'm really good at pivoting. If you need help, let me know, okay? Our current situation with the inflation of everything, oh my goodness gracious. This is a $5 skirt, guys, okay? It's from a thrift shop. So, I mean, life can throw us some pretty crazy curveballs, and I'm no stranger to challenges, okay? Here's the rep. In the past 8 months, I've gotten married. Hi. I had hip reconstruction. Yes. That face right there was like, what? Yes, I had hip reconstruction. This is my second time in heels. If I need help down the stairs, I'm looking for you guys. All right. I hired and trained a new team lead at the agency. I oversaw 7 weeks of summer camps, ran 15 weeks of after-school programs, implemented a new booking system, opened our Pilates studio to the public, and transformed our wellness programs to better suit our community. All while doing it in a sequin skirt. Had I not been doing my own self-worth or my own self-discovery to figure out my own self-worth over the past 4 years with my bestie Allison, who is right there. Yes, may Alicie. I likely would have crumbled under immense pressure. Like all of us, there are so many things on our shoulders that if we don't have a strong sense of self, we will crumble. Can we agree with that? Yeah, we can, okay? So here's the thing. Putting in the work to discover and or rediscover who we are can seem like a low priority when you have like 1,000 emails in your inbox, right? Or 1,000 people asking questions. And you're like, oh my God, I just need to focus on myself. Blinders on, but you can't because there are so many things going on in your life. But I'm here to tell you that you need to prioritize your self-discovery, because the success of our businesses and our personal self is very much tied to who we are as an individual. So how can we build and grow a brand if we don't have a clear picture and understanding of our founding product, us? So how do we prioritize self-discovery in tandem with entrepreneurship and life's challenges? We dig in our heels and we embark on the biggest and best journey of our lives. We commit to the process of self-reflection, exploration, and growth. Discovering who we are, how we think, how we process our triggers, our past events, and how they affect our current situations will equip us with the goals, or the tools rather, to better deal with daily challenges. Once we get clear on who we are, we can make decisions from a rooted sense of self, and the results are so empowering because you're making it from a rooted sense of self, who you are. Self-discovery requires you to ask difficult questions, peel back the layers without judgment, and take a deep look in our lives as it is, as it was, and how we want it to be. So, where do we begin? We begin just by asking questions. And I think sometimes this is where the difficulties lie, because we don't always like the answers to those questions. Am I right? Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Listen, the amount a person can grow is determined by the amount of truth that we can accept about ourselves without judgment. I say without judgment because we are our worst critics. We are those type A personalities. We want everything to be perfect. So without judgment. The more we can understand about ourselves, the more we can become aware of what's working for us and what's not working for us. And so we pivot. Okay. Define what success looks like for you and what it feels like for you. We all have a different idea of what success is. To some, it means having lots of money, lots of followers. To my students, it definitely means having lots of followers. It could mean traveling the world, or for me right now, it's less time working and more time developing my family. We need to define what success, whoa, hello. I'm developing my family. Okay. I know. Allison's like, why did I say that she would be the speaker today? I'm authentic, that's why. We need to define what success looks like for you before you can go after it. Okay, so define what it looks like for you. When I was a dancer, success to me was long, lean, extra skinny, ballerina type. Now that I'm more mature, I'm looking at success from a different perspective. So I implore you to do the same. Number 2, speak your truth. Speak your truth into existence. Speak what you want into existence. You, not what your partner wants, or your parents, or your siblings, or anyone else. Speak your truth of what you want without fear of judgment on yourself or guilt. Have you ever wanted to go and buy something very expensive? But then you thought, I can't, I don't deserve it, I don't have this, I don't do that. Speak into existence what you want. Doesn't matter if you're speaking about a Louis Vuitton purse or a trip with your bestie. Go and speak what you want into existence. Okay. Moving on. Stop seeking approvals from others. Okay, this is a big one. We are people pleasers by nature. I am so guilty of it. I can't even tell you how hard I've had to work with this. It can be so difficult to turn the volume down on what others' opinions are, especially when those people are so important to us. We seek approval because we want to fit in. We don't want to be different, and we definitely don't want to disappoint. If you look for the approval from others, you're going to be living for others and not yourself. You might end up living somebody else's dream and not yours. You could end up, going to law school when you just really want to be a painter, right? 2 different mindsets. Your authenticity is what will set you and your business apart. So listen to yourself and do what is right for you. Your mindset matters. You create around you what you think about in your mind. What you think every single day in your mind is what you manifest into reality. By understanding, adapting, and shifting your mindset, you can improve your health, decrease your stress, amen to that, and become more resilient to challenges. Your mindset makes a huge difference. Okay, this is a big one for me. Be the energy you want in your life, okay? You are like a magnet, attracting the same energy that you put out. So when you tune your energy to positive, you will bring more positive energy into your life. Radio waves, I'm looking at you, Angie, are a great example of how you can tune into what you want. So if I wanted to listen to a country station, I tune in. If I want to listen to Angie Hill, I tune my radio frequency to 99.5 KFM. Right? You can apply the same energy with you can apply the same energy with your ideas. Nope. Let's try that one again. You can apply the same idea with your energy. You can tune your energy frequency to positive or negative. And so how can you tell if you're living in your positive energy or your negative energy? Simple. Positive energy feels like strength. It feels like confidence. It feels like happiness, joy, and love. Negative energy feels like fear, anger, lack of confidence, frustration, shame, and embarrassment. Be the energy that you want to attract. That is your superpower. Self-reflect without judgment. I'm going to say that again. Self-reflect without judgment. Self-reflection is about checking in with ourselves and is necessary in our discovery. Weekly or monthly self-reflection will give you a chance to dive deeper into your own cognitive, emotional, and behavioral processes. Reflection allows you to consider your actions and the actions of others and how you can navigate future circumstances with intent rather than impulse. Self-reflection isn't always easy, and it's important to go about it with compassion and without judgment. Self-reflect without self-judgment. All right, number 7, everything is a choice. This one is so important. I say this to my students all the time, especially my teenage girls. Oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? Oh, I can't believe that. And I said, girl, everything is a choice. Be present in your day-to-day life so that you can react to situations by choice. The more we practice being present, the more comfortable and confident we will find or we will feel, and when faced with challenges, we'll be able to rise above them. Use movement as medicine. All right, this one's really important to me, especially with a new hip. Don't worry, it's not a fake hip, guys. I just had it reconstructed. All right, not that ancient yet. Discover how your body likes to move and then fuel it with that movement. Invest in a weekly class or a weekly session for yourself. With a little extra movement, our moods improve, we reduce stress, and we sleep better. Being active can boost your feel-good endorphins and distract you from daily worries, giving your nervous system a break to recalibrate and allowing you to tackle challenges from a more calm state. I feel like we've all been living in an elevated state of fear over the course of the last couple of years. And so using movement as medicine can really alter your trajectory of health and wellness. Discover and set boundaries to protect your goals. This is very, very important. Boundaries are so important, and I don't think we take enough time to really discover what our boundaries are now or what they were. I often ask women, what are your boundaries? And they go, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, we got to dive into that. Boundaries are established to protect you from being hurt, manipulated, or taken advantage of. Setting boundaries is the highest form of self-love. Set boundaries without feeling guilty, without fear of rejection, without fear of failure, or worrying that someone won't like you anymore. Boundaries show people how you want to be valued and how you want to be treated. All right, number 10, surround yourself with people who support your growth. All right, so my bestie Allison over yonder, during COVID, we became the best of besties through podcasts. She became my person, and through our journey of listening to different podcasts and dissecting what it meant to us, and talking through the challenges and the ideas that we had that were brought forth through the podcast, really helped me in my road of self-discovery. So surround yourself with people that support your growth. Self-discovery isn't always easy. Sometimes it's really, really exciting because you're like, oh my God, I just stumbled upon this thing about myself and I had no idea. And people around you go, really, you had no idea? It's clear as day. And you're like, really? Right? Other times it's really challenging because it will challenge the ideals of your very existence. You're like, oh my gosh, why have I been living like this? So when that happens, you will need a healthy outlet and a positive support system that you can lean on. Learning about yourself is a lifelong journey. We are at different eras in our lives, at different points. And it's important that you fall in love with the process of self-discovery, because discovering who you are will open up so many more ideas. It will help you in your careers, because when you are struggling to pay the bills, or you're struggling with different clients, or you're struggling with what is the next evolution of my business, you can dive deep into who you are, what makes you happy, what makes you thrive, what are the things that you want to bring out into the world that are really important to you. And so self-discovery is part of that journey. Understanding who you are and what makes you tick, again, is fundamental to your entrepreneurial success, because everything that we do will stem from who we are. Self-discovery comes from the opportunity and stems from the opportunity, rather, to design a life for us, by us. That is all I have to say. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great morning.
I need your energy this morning. We need one more coffee. Okay, thank you so much. Some great tips. Next, we're going to be hearing from my colleague and dear friend, Angie Hill. Angie's been waking up with you for more than 28 years, starting in KW at 105.3 at Cool FM. She now finds her home at Bounce 99.5 FM as a morning show announcer, spinning the classic hits of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The format she's been playing for 95% of her career. Born in Chesley, the country is her favorite place. Her favorite person is her 21-year-old son, Jesse, who is often called for fashion tips and tips over social media trends. And, well, you can hear Angie Monday to Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Bounce 99.5 FM with her morning show partner, The Sarge, unless she's here with us this morning, which she is, of course. You get to sneak out of work a little bit early. So please welcome Angie Hill.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, the Sarge a little upset that I got to come here and eat with all you beautiful women. If you know anything about the Sarge, he loves food and he loves women. That said, you can hear us every morning on 99.5, that is Bounce Radio. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use the whole 10 minutes or not, because I'm used to, in my industry, 2.5 minutes, that's it, in and out. That's it. And like Alexandra said, it's been 28 years, and I was just sitting here talking to Rachel, and Rachel was talking about, oh my God, I'm going to be 30 soon. And I said to her, were you born in 94? And she says, no, 98 or 2000. When were you born? 94. I said, that's the same year I started at Cool FM in Kitchener. It's one of those things that make you think, what? Anyway, here we are. I've managed to fly under the radar. I've been told it's because when my number would come up with different firings and so on, and we all know that this goes on in the media business, because you listen and you turn on the radio one day and they're not there. And you're wondering, where did they go? Chances are they were either 55 years old or made more than $100,000 a year. That said, I get to number one, know your worth. And I know that was your number 10, but my number one is know your worth and ask for money. Everybody else is getting paid when you go out to an event. So if they're asking to share your expertise or your talents, it has to be worth something. And I always compare it to a plumber. Would you ask a plumber to come out for free and fix your toilet on a Saturday night? No. Well, you might, but they're not going to do it for free. So why would I take my skill set out and just give it away? So that's what I always ask. Know your worth and know what's it going to cost you. Treat charities like they're your children. Be attentive and available. I absolutely love my job for 2 reasons. Number 1, actually 3, it's good therapy for me to be on the radio every day. Number 2 is because I just love to communicate. I love to do what I do. But number 1 are the charities and the people that are in the communities that I get to touch every day just by doing what I do. So picking a charity, I always say pick a passion and pick a lane. You cannot help everybody, but you can help the ones that touch your heart and the ones that really, really, really matter to you and make you shine. Don't take on a charity to look good. When you spread yourself too thin, you just do a disservice to yourself and to the charity. Because for someone like me, who is on the radio every day, it's kind of like, all right, well, how many of these people are you supporting? And really seriously, are you that serious about what you're doing? That's why I say, pick a lane and pick a passion. Number 3 for me, let people know your feelings and connect through emotion and try to find the funny in everything you do. Because there's days, and we all have them. In fact, there might be somebody out here right now that, had a fight with their kid this morning. The dog bit them, hates your husband or your wife. It's say hate them, and you have to go home to them later. Find the funny, have a conversation, find the funny. So you go from this to this, and okay, it's really not that bad. Find the funny. Be brave. And do something that scares you. Say what makes you anxious. Be that person that says what everyone else is thinking. For the good, not evil. But so often, there might be things come up in your life or things come up and, you're the one that says it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? Well, you probably said it because it's something everyone is thinking. And that might be the one reason that there is some change made. Ask for what you want. Sitting around and complaining is not a solution. If you point out a problem, make sure you have a solution. A problem without a solution is bitching. And that's not what you want to be. You want to be the problem solver. So if there is something going on in your life, your work life, this is kind of what I'm comparing it to. Okay, you're not liking this, you're not liking that. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, what do you propose we do about it? If you're not going to be a problem solver, then don't even bother. If they, and I use they, I'm thinking because it's, the workplace. I don't like it. Well, they, them, those people. If you're not getting what you want from where you are at in your life at the time, create it. Because you have that control and the power in your own life to create it. If you're in a situation that you don't like, you're in a situation that isn't serving you, only you can decide, well, this is not serving me anymore. I need to make a change. And somebody actually, we had a big conversation about drinking alcohol. And I said to this girlfriend of mine, I said, wow, you're not drinking anymore. She says, no, it just did not do me a service anymore. It was something I needed to change. She made that one change, and it was just simply drinking. And it's funny how the rest of her life just all kind of fell into a great succession, into a great thing. It's not like she was a raging alcoholic or anything, but it was the one piece she decided wasn't fitting anymore. From there, everything kind of come together. Keep reinventing yourself and stay interesting. If you are an interesting person, people will find you interesting. I do find this, and I'd like to share it with you. The older I get, especially in my industry, the more invisible I feel. It's almost like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I'm just gonna go over here. You don't have anything, really to contribute. The truth is I have everything to contribute. And believe it or not, older folks know things, have experiences that could perhaps stop you from a whole world of hurt, because we've taken the long way around these places. There might be a little shortcut. We might have something valuable to say. And when I say keep reinventing yourself and stay interesting, I made a phone call a couple of years ago to Megan and asked her about, the whole Gemini modeling thing. And she was like, well, don't you work on the radio every day? I said, yeah, but it's something I wanted to try, something I wanted to do. So I am part of the lifestyles part. I'm not a model. I did have my first gig though, and it was a commercial. And I got there, and we're in a bowling alley, and we're doing all these fun things, and I thought, I should probably ask what this is all about. And they turned to me and they said, oh, it's a commercial for hearing aids. I had to get on the phone and text my mom right away. And yeah, I'm doing a hearing aid commercial. She's like, that is fantastic. Stay away from weird behaviors on social media. This is number 8 for me because it stays there forever. You make a comment and it might not be what I meant to say. It is. It's in writing, or it's a picture of you doing something with somebody somewhere or what have you. Just be super, super cognizant of what you're putting out there because, like I said, it never goes away. Number 9 for me is get up every day and do it. The most popular question I get is, what time do you get up every day? It's 3 a.m. now because the station has moved out to Sports World. So I don't have a 13-minute drive anymore. It's a 30-minute drive. So I'm up at 3:15. And some days it is a grind. Some days but you got to get up. You got to do it. If you don't give your all that day, that's okay because you've given something. You showed up. Chances are the day that you show up that you're not into it will be your best day ever. It's like getting an invitation to a party you don't want to go to and you go and all of a sudden you meet your favorite people. To me, that's what happens. You get up every day, you do it, and be the person people look forward to seeing. Even if you just greet them with a hello, chum, a little joke, just a little hi, or just, hey, how's it going? Just something to lift their spirits. And finally, number 10, take risks. Sometimes it is easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So go ahead and do it. Because really, at the end of the day, what's the worst thing that could happen? You could end up celebrating almost 3 decades in a career that you love. Thanks, everybody, for coming out today.
Angie Hill, thank you so much. So we're now at 30 tips from our speakers, so let's keep it going. Our next speaker is Christine Hyde, Associate Basketball Coach at the University of Waterloo. Before starting her coaching career, she played many years growing and loving the sport of basketball. She started playing at the age of 10 on a boys' club, eventually playing club basketball, and then having the opportunity to represent her country on the Canadian national team. Christine played several years professionally in a variety of European leagues, as well as gained coaching experience before an injury led to her retirement in 2019. Since retiring, she's made her mark in the Canadian secondary school scene, coaching varsity boys and girls as a head coach. She then made history by becoming the first female coach to work with the KW Titans in the National Basketball League of Canada. That was in 2022. This past summer, she brought home the bronze medal as the head coach with the 2023 Provincial U17 Girls Team Ontario in the National Championships. Christine is now in her second season as a full-time lead associate coach of the women's basketball program and has played a pivotal role in the historic success of the Warriors, assisting the team with achieving a remarkable milestone by finishing first in the Ontario University Athletics Conference for the first time in program history. So please join me in welcoming Christine.
Good morning, everyone. When I was asked to give like 10 lessons or tips, I was amazed because I'm like, how can people remember 10 lessons or tips? Like, as a coach, we're taught to only give 3 points, and for every 3 points, your players are going to remember one of them. So if you can remember all 10, please tell me how you do it so I can teach my players. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into it. My first tip is to find 2 mentors. And one of them in your sport or in your profession, and another one completely removed. So I have a mentor who is also a university coach at the University of Windsor, and then I have another mentor who coaches boxing. He knows nothing of basketball, but because he's in the frame of coaching, he is also somebody that I can speak to and get advice from. And when my players say certain things, I can go to him and be like, well, how would you interpret that? And then he'll give me a completely different interpretation than what I thought. So I would recommend getting 2 mentors. My second tip is to form a team. So like Megan says, like you have to have a support system behind you. And I strongly believe in this African proverb. It's, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And with that, you can always fall back on somebody and have a support system. My third lesson is negate negative self-talk. And I know as women, we are very critical of ourselves. Sorry, I'm a little tall here. We are very critical of ourselves. And my mother always told me, like, don't say anything about yourself that you wouldn't say to anybody else, because it does manifest physically. And just as women, we need to give ourselves grace. We are enough, we are capable, we are overqualified. So we just need to learn to give ourselves grace and spaces. My fourth is do what you enjoy. It's not a 3 a.m. start, but it is easy to get out of bed at 5 a.m. when you love what you do. Like I get up at 5. It's not 3, but it makes it that much easier when you enjoy what you do than, getting up. I was working a job one day where it was so hard to get up in the morning, and I started at noon. So, so find what you enjoy. My fifth lesson is make measurable, expanding goals. So what I mean by that is I did want to be a coach, and now I'm a coach. What else do I want to do? Okay, I want to be a head coach. Okay, then when I'm a head coach, what else do I want to do? All right, maybe a coach on the national team. So just ever expanding goals, because my thing is I don't like to feel stagnant. I don't like to stay still. So all of my goals are always expanding. What can I put on top of it so I can always feel like I'm progressing? My sixth is what's next. It's like coin a phrase. So on our team, I always say, and our coaching staff says, what's next? And what it does, it actually refocuses our team to move forward. So for example, nobody has a perfect game, but I coach a lot of overthinkers and perfectionists. So when they miss a layup, they dwell on it. They dwell on it for pretty much the entire game. So we like to say, okay, they missed the layup. We see them put their head down. We say, okay, what's next? So we refocus them. Oh, I have to get back on defense. Oh, I have to find my player. So now they're no longer thinking about that mistake, but now they're moving on to the next thing. So they know how to navigate those emotions where it goes from, I feel pretty crappy, to now I got to refocus to something else. So now I'm forgetting that I feel crappy, and able to, for us to keep their focus and keep their mental performance high. So I would suggest to coin a phrase to make you move forward. So mine is what's next. It's not something that you can use when you stub your toe on the side of the bed. But it is something that I use when I get into situations where I feel uncomfortable and I'm like, okay, what's next? What is the next thing? What am I learning? What's the feedback? So not everything is personal, but it does refocus me when I'm in situations that sometimes I can be uncomfortable in. My seventh is share your passion. So to see Megan like stand up here and speak so passionately, and it's so captivating and it's so inviting, and your energy is so vibrant. Speak your passion, because that's what you do. You light up a room. And when you speak on that passion, people are drawn to you. And even if they don't know exactly what you're in, what you're doing, or what you're passionate about, just the energy and the vibration that you have is intriguing. It's enough to bring people in and want to know more. So share your passion with the world so you can light up the world. My 8th is discover your culture. So my culture is not to stay still. And within our team, our culture is also kindness over some truth. Just because, again, we have a team full of not only academics and engineers, if we tell the truth, they completely forget what you say and have 50 other different interpretations, 50 other different hypotheticals, and completely just misinterpret everything. So we learn to speak with kindness, we learn to treat with compassion, and we don't negate the truth, but sometimes truth is timely. Not all the time is the right time to tell the truth, and there's always a way to tell the truth, but we choose kindness over some truth to preserve our players' mental state. And then when you discover your culture, like, what are your non-negotiables? So my non-negotiable is my work can't always come before my family. And I spoke, like, you know, when you go into a job interview and they ask, oh, do you have any questions for me? I'm like, yes, I do. What is the home-work-life balance like? What are your expectations? And then that's when, you know, I put up my boundaries and I say, well, my family is very important to me, and I don't want to be here 14 hours a day. And I don't want to spend all of my waking time here, and where I'm neglecting my support system and I'm neglecting my family. So that's part of my culture, is that your family and the people who support you are just important as the job. So I just encourage you to discover your culture and find a balance in, like, what are your non-negotiables. My 9th is be courageous. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. You don't reach your full potential in your comfort zone, and you don't always make mistakes in your comfort zone. And I would encourage you to be courageous, apply for that job. I think I read a statistic somewhere where it says women are less likely to apply for a job if they don't feel like they're qualified, but men will have no qualifications but apply anyway. And I want us to get to that point where we apply anyway. Because what I've learned about coaching is that you don't have to know everything. You just have to inspire sometimes. And sometimes all they need is an inspiration, and they need an idea, and we can run with it. My last tip is be okay with losing. Be okay with failure. What I tell my players is that I can take a loss, but not without a fight. And this is where we learn, like, our greatest lessons is in failure. We had a season last year where we were all great and everything was well, and negative emotions and certain things and comments were all being masked and covered up by our winning streak. And then we heard a podcast about how McMaster was gonna kill Waterloo, and I thought we were going to use that as motivation, but that backfired epically, and we lost. And then all the ugly emotions came out, and you know, in anger, you tend to speak truths that you wouldn't normally speak in kindness, and it was a mess in our locker room. But what we learned from it and what came from that was trust. We were able to get over that conflict and move towards trust. And all that came from was losing. And we would have never learned that lesson. We would have never came together as a team. We would have never got over that hump if we didn't lose. So be okay with losing, because within losing, there comes great experience that you'll get a lot from losing than you ever will from winning. And if you remember those 10 tips again, share so I can relay that to my players. Thank you.
Well, good news for you. I think those 10 tips are going to be sent to you after the program here today, along with everyone else's. So you'll remember too for next time. All right, up next we have Colleen James. Colleen was elected to Regional Council in October 2022, representing City of Kitchener residents. Colleen's professional career includes more than 15 years of experience in municipal government at both the city and regional levels. As the founder of Divonify Incorporated, Colleen is a leading consultant on equity and inclusion. Locally, nationally, and internationally, Colleen partners with a wide range of public, private, and not-for-profit organizations and businesses that are committed to change. Her values are central at her work as a leader. These values include building trusted relationships, having equity-informed community discussions, listening and collaborating, empowering and amplifying, taking meaningful action, and being accountable. In 2020, the Canada International Black Women event named Colleen one of the top 100 Black women to watch. In 2021, she was named one of the top 25 diversity, equity, and inclusion persons of the year by the Canadian Multicultural Group. Colleen is a graduate of leadership, Waterloo Region, and has served and continues to serve on several local boards and community committees, including the Kitchener Public Library, KW Oktoberfest, and the Selection Committee for Leadership Waterloo Region. She's also involved in many collaborative community projects, including the Caribbean Canadian Association of Waterloo Region, where she established the James STEM Scholarship. So please welcome Colleen James.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. This is great. The energy in this room. Learning a lot from the previous speakers, and some of this may overlap, and gonna have to talk to you. I used to work for the NBA, so I'm sure we've got lots of stories. I'm standing here and I'm gonna talk a little bit about the intersections of my identity in terms of my career and life. I'm a Black woman, I am a mother, I am a wife, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a politician. So when asked about these 10 tips, things get a little messy sometimes, so there'll be some blending here. So take what you will. I'm gonna overlap a little bit with some of what was said. And yes, okay, I'll dive right in. Confidence. Everyone talks about confidence, having confidence in yourself. It is imperative. You have to believe in your abilities. If you don't believe in your abilities, who else is going to? Have confidence. Own your achievements and your contributions. One of the hardest things was kind of, speaking about all that you've done. And we've done a lot. And I think sometimes the hardest thing is to give ourselves credit for that and have confidence in saying, this is what I have done. I have accomplished this. I am accomplishing X, Y, Z. Others have spoke about this. Build your network. Early on in my career, I had a mentor who said, go out and meet people, network with people. At the time, without disclosing my age, LinkedIn was a very new thing. And they said, go and build your network, not just locally, but abroad, because you never know. Those relationships, and that's what it is, it's building relationships. Those are people who will amplify you. They'll amplify each other. Just this morning, I got an email from someone that said, can you be a guest speaker? And I have no idea who this person is, not local, and they said, your name was mentioned to be by Jay Pitter. I'll say her name because we support each other. And I said, oh my goodness, I wasn't expecting this. But again, when you're building your network, you're also opening up opportunities that you don't even know are right there in front of you. That growth mindset. I know we spoke about that. That's been spoken about, having that growth mindset. To me, education is liberation. We need to keep learning. And anyone's been in any of my sessions, you know, one of the opening slides is the discomfort is the work. In order for learning and growth to happen, we need to be uncomfortable, and having that growth mindset is key. Keep learning, things change, change is constant, and I'm an advocate for education, so that growth mindset is essential in what we are doing. Perfection. Perfection's a myth. We are not perfect people. We can't expect ourselves to be perfect. And over the years and the many roles I have had, and that striving to be perfect and do the thing, and it is not sustainable. This is how we get in situations, our mental health, the stress. We are not perfect, and it shouldn't be expected of us to be perfect. And I know most of us are probably type A personalities. I struggle with it, but I know that perfection is a myth. And in realities, we need to embrace the imperfection. We need to be more patient with ourselves and more accepting of the fact that, you know what, we're gonna screw things up. I think Angie mentioned risk, right? We do something first for the first time, are we gonna get it right? It's not gonna be perfect. Perfection, all a myth. Integrity. Your integrity is everything, and it is part of who you are. The one thing I know to be true is in my career, both in my personal life, what I stand for, my values, it's tested. So many of us said we may have been asked to do something, thought, oh, I don't know if that's right. That's, you know, having your integrity, knowing what you stand for and standing firm for that it is key, it is essential, because people will try and test you. They will question your integrity, your ethics, what you stand for, and it comes down to that knowing your why. If you are grounded in your why with whatever you are doing, your integrity will be right there to support you with that, even when challenged and made and put in difficult situations, which sometimes I am in the political world. Next, I'm going to talk about grit. Has anybody heard about grit? Grit. For those, a person with grit, passion and perseverance, goals are set and followed through on commitments. And we often hear about resilience. We're resilient. People say that, Colleen, you're so strong, you're resilient, you're a Black woman, you're resilient and strong, and there's grit. And I'm gonna put aside the career for a second and give you another perspective around grit and perseverance, because everything's connected. You know, for 2 years of my life, I don't remember anything with career, because I was given a diagnosis where I was told I would not be able to have children. And then to know you'd have to go through a process. I went through IVF, and the grit that was needed to get through knowing the outcome that you wanted. Like I said, 2 years I put the career aside, because sometimes, as you know, others have said, you put family first. And that will test you in ways with your family, your relationships with people, your partner, and knowing that, you know, what you want and what you set out to do, you're focused on that. So that grit, resilience, focused, all of that. I don't often speak of that, but that has helped to shape me in my career as an entrepreneur, as a politician, running a campaign, and I center that on, wait a second, I've been through some hard things. We've all been through some hard things. And how you keep going with that. And I will tell you, you know, but for family and a supportive person around you, to know that you can get that outcome as long as you are determined and you have that grit. And I'll also say, you know, people often think of things like if you're dealing with a health diagnosis or what have you, you know, there's a guarantee that something will work. Often people think it works. Cycle after cycle, transfer after transfer. 11 embryos. Malia, some of you follow me, you'll see I post her. She was the very last one. Very last one. So don't give up in whatever you were trying to do. Advocate for yourself. Yes, you need support people, and there's the mentors and then the sponsors. But again, don't hesitate to highlight your achievements. Negotiate for what you deserve. Negotiate for what you deserve. You know your worth. Don't ever back down from that. Work-life integration. Ali, you and I talked about this briefly at the game the other. What is work-life balance? It's integrate. You know, there's some days I'm given 20, some days 80. You know, you have to find the balance that works for you. With your relationships as well, with the colleagues that you work with, it all goes down to as well determining what your boundaries are. What are your boundaries? What are your hard no's? You know, especially as we're starting out the career, because I reflect on being younger and always saying yes to everything. Yes, 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 yes. Because you want to be doing the things, you want to be out there, but you have to have boundaries. And sometimes it is the most hardest thing to do, but it's for your own well-being. And I struggle with this too. See me out there all the time. Say it's all a facade, but you know, there's balance. And thankfully there's a support system there. So sometimes I'm coming home and I've got like 10% left in me and I'm like, I just need to sit in the garage for 20 minutes and all hell is breaking loose at home. And our child's hungry and I just can't muster up the energy to cook her dinner. Like those are the realities of it. That's the realities of being an entrepreneur, being in politics. And again, you know, people want your attention. Voters want your attention, you know? So it's work-life integration. You make that work how you need to, and again, take it a little easy on yourself too. It's okay to not cook the dinner, or hot dogs are good, or mac and cheese is okay. I don't even know what number I'm at. I kind of went off, so you just tell me when I need to stop. That fear, don't run away from being afraid. Okay? If you let fear dictate your life, you will miss it. The scariest thing I had to do was when I said, okay, I want to run and I want to, you know, I want to be in office. There was that passion, my values, my integrity, you know, wanting to find solutions to complex problems and looking at things and redesigning the way we do things. You can't let the fear, again, that growth mindset, everything's interconnected. And like I said, if you lean into that fear, you're gonna miss it. And it's you know, one of the things that I always question before I'm about to do something, I say, am I going to regret this? You know, that shoulda, coulda, woulda. And if that is really that burning feeling, you know what, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it, I have to lean right into it. As cliche as it sounds, you really have to. Stay true to who you are. I've had to make some tough decisions. Some of you may read about the tough decisions, not always, you know, the public opinion supported decisions. You've got to stay true to who you are and the decisions that you're going to make, and that leading with integrity. You're the only one who has to answer that. There isn't a decision I have made in life, both personal, professional, where I cannot speak to it. I can speak to the why, being grounded in the why, being grounded in my values, the integrity. It's also helped to shape who I am. Also, in knowing who you are. And I say this because I've had to do this. Don't be afraid to leave the table when you are not being respected, when you are not valued, when you are seen as invisible. It is okay. That is you standing true to who you are, knowing what you will and won't stand for, and it's absolutely okay. Say that, you know, don't be afraid to leave the table when love's not being served. Absolutely. And then I guess I'll just end with this, and I think everyone's kind of said this in some way, shape, or form today, about knowing who your people are. In politics, we call that your kitchen table, your kitchen cabinet. So I had a team of people that were out there helping me, but I had a kitchen cabinet, kitchen table. I forget the exact word, but those were the people who kept it real with me. Those were the ones who were like, don't forget who you are. And they're the people who will know you the closest. They may have known you the longest, or maybe you've met them in recent years, but they will always keep it real with you. They will say, nope, we're seeing this. And they will rein you back in to ground you, because it is very easy, especially as you get in positions of privilege or power, to get caught up. Everyone kind of always talks about the ego. You know, have your kitchen cabinet there, have those people there. 4, 5 people that will say, hold on a second, I'm seeing this. Remember your why. Remember what your purpose is. Remember what you value. Remember your integrity. It is essential, especially as you are as an entrepreneur, if you are in any career, and then if anybody ever aspires to being in politics, you need to have that kitchen table, because you see everything. Sometimes I said to my husband the other day, like, sometimes I wish I didn't know. Sometimes I wish I didn't know. But you know what? When you're trying to create change, when you're trying to challenge the way things have been operating and get solutions to complex problems, you need to always be grounded in that, grounded in your why. So I think this is it. I don't know how much time I have, but you know, it's an honor. I'm so happy to see everybody here and meet new faces. And you know, as I talked about kind of that networking and mentoring, part of that is also sponsoring. And I know she didn't expect this, but I'm going to just, I brought a young professional, Camille Renee, and you know, this is what it's about. One of my favorite quotes is by Mary Church Thoreau: lift as we climb, and that is absolutely what we need to do as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Colleen. So we're going to hear now from our final speaker this morning, Chef Destiny Moser, the owner of Food Zen, a personal chef and pre-made meal business here in Waterloo Region. Food Zen's goal is to bring Zen to busy family schedules, assist professionals in a better work-life balance, and help seniors maintain their independence by providing locally made, healthy, and of course, delicious food. Although Chef Destiny specializes in a wide variety of international foods, as an Indigenous chef, her focus is to create meals using ingredients that are hyper-local and ultra-seasonal. This farm-to-table approach supports many local businesses as well and favors whole foods over processed ones. Chef Destiny also works closely with the Indigenous community to provide teaching and workshop experiences for others to learn about not only Indigenous food, but healthy eating, food sovereignty, and sustainability. So please join me in welcoming Destiny Moser.
Okay, well, it's really hard to go last because I feel like I'm going to be repeating a lot. There was so many great tips, and it's nice to hear other people have similar stories and backgrounds to mine, so it will be a bit repetitive, but this is from my perspective. So a little bit about me. Yes, I am an Indigenous chef. However, my mom is part of the 60s Scoop. And a lot of us have heard about residential schools, but some of us are missing the other side, that from the 1960s to the 1990s, kids were actually being scooped from their communities and forced into foster care. And so my mom spent from the ages of 4 to 6 in some of the most unimaginable pain and torture. And we lost that sense of our community. Our family we were adopted into is a wonderful German family here in the region. They're some of the largest families and founding families of this community, a lot of farmers, and they never hid from us that we were Indigenous. We just didn't know what that meant. Unfortunately, my mom, she passed away about almost 3 years ago now. And soon after she passed away, they started finding a lot of these unmarked graves. And I know my mom passed away because of the struggle she went through as a kid. And then finding all these unmarked graves, I started to think to myself, what can I do to be a part of her healing journey, to continue my healing journey, and to also help educate the community on what is actually Indigenous culture in this region. And for me, I've always loved food. It is a passion of mine. It's my love language. And so when I went to my first Indigenous circle and realized all the food there was the sandwich trays you would get at the grocery store or the veggie trays, I was like, where's all the Indigenous food? And it was a gap in the community. Many of us, there's over 15,000 of us in this community, and only 2 of us are chefs. But there is that gap of knowledge. And all the food that my family was growing and raising, I started to realize came with the settlers. And so my first lesson is do what you love and follow your passion. I spent 17 years in the corporate world loving food and having this as be my love language, but I didn't want to work evenings and weekends. So I volunteered as a chef, or I would work with chefs in the community to help them. But then I started to realize when I wanted to learn more about Indigenous food that it was even more beyond that I had a mission to teach myself, my children, my family, and my community about this food. So follow your passion, think outside the box too. So again, I didn't want to work evenings and weekends. And so when I went to culinary school, I learned about personal chefing, and I realized that I could go to work when everybody else was at work. So it's great because now I can drop my kids off at school, I come to your house, I do your groceries, I cook your food, and I leave it in the fridge with reheat instructions, and I'm home in time to go pick up my own kids. So I did spend a lot of time in the corporate world, but then I realized that cooking was really what I wanted. And the other thing too is, when you have a passion, you're usually solving your own problems too by following that passion. So I love food. It's my love language. I love eating wholesome food. And it's really hard because so many of those out-of-box pre-made meals usually have a lot of processed food in them. Those box meals, if you have a husband like mine who's not really the best at cooking, if it says 20 minutes, it really takes him an hour, so they're not that much faster. And so I really wanted to figure out how, one, I could solve my own problem for my own family, but then I realized I can't be the only one that's struggling. The second one is believe in yourself. So trust in your skills. And be confident that you have assets to bring to the table. I decided to become a chef at 40. And so I had this kind of imposter syndrome, do I belong here? But I quickly realized when I went to culinary school that all of those skills that I learned through my volunteer work, working with other chefs in the community, and even being in the corporate world led me to this moment. It helped me establish who I was in that industry, and that the skills that I had to bring to the table were just as good as the ones who had already been there for a long time. Embrace challenges is my third one. So don't shy away from difficult decisions because they can often lead from growth. I grew up with dyslexia, and it wasn't diagnosed until I was in grade 11. I had a grade 8 teacher who told me I was so dumb I'd be lucky if I graduated high school. And I didn't take that and get down on myself. I took it as a challenge, I'll prove you wrong. And so I learned very quickly to not take no for an answer. You can always learn, and you can always overcome and be better than other people might think you are. I'm also, my mom, like I said, is part of the 60 Scoop, so I myself struggle with a lot of generational trauma. So even when I see things in the media now, they're very triggering. So it takes a lot for me to turn what I want on and turn what I want off. But without all of these challenges, I wouldn't be who I am today, right? If I would have had an easier life, would I be as passionate? Would I be as driven? Would I have that grit, right? And then again, it's been mentioned before, but network and connect, build genuine relationships. I am as successful in such a short time because of the network I built before I even decided to become a chef. Like I said, I volunteered with cooking. I worked with other chefs in the community cooking. So when I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna quit my corporate job and start my own personal chef business, people were like, you go for it. And they helped build me, and they helped support me, and they helped me network even bigger, but that network is really what allowed me to be successful today. And learn continuously. I never was born with one of those special skills, like I can't play the piano, I wasn't good at dancing, I'm not a fantastic computer engineer. I always struggled with, where do I fit in? What am I good at? And it wasn't until I got to be much older that I realized that my secret power is learning. And my very first jobs in the corporate world, I was answering a phone. That's it. I didn't really have a lot of skills to do anything else, but I raised my hand every time there was a project. And I would say, I would like to learn more about that, and how can I help you? And since that first job, I've never had a job that someone had before me, because I was raising my hand and asking to learn and asking to help and volunteering my time. So when that job came up or was created, because companies grow, I was automatically fit for it because I'd already been doing it. So knowledge is definitely power. And I'd watched a movie as a teenager, and I remember it was a guy who was a peasant, and he wanted to be a knight. And his dad said to him, you know, with the right passion and with the right grit, you can change your stripes. And so, you know, I truly believe that education is power. And then it's okay to say no. Like you said, when you're first starting out, it can be very easy to say yes to everything. But be sure to take on only the work you feel you can complete at your standards. So you might think it's quick, you might think it's easy, but if you're tired and you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, your output is going to suffer from that. So really choose the things you want to do so that you can complete them at your standards. And then balance is key. Find a work-life balance that suits you. It might not always be 50-50, like you said. But don't feel guilty about it. I went into this business because I myself wanted a better work-life balance. And as any business owner will quickly learn, all of a sudden you have many hats to wear and many jobs to do that you weren't necessarily anticipating. Make sure that you put those boundaries in place as to what your work-life balance is. And that's also really important for me. Like, I have a lot of employees who will work with me and they instantly are like, just give me as many clients as you can. But I really want to push on them, because a lot of them are a lot younger than me as well, that work-life balance is important. And so I really struggle to say, no, you deserve the weekend off. You have your clients through the week. Focus on yourself, your family over the weekend. And then disconnect from work. This, for me, was a lesson I had to learn really early in life, because I'm one of those people that when I put my head down, I can just go and go and go, and then all of a sudden it's dark outside, and I was like, wait, I didn't eat lunch. And so it's important that you schedule personal time. It's important that you schedule family time. Book your vacations way in advance, because if you have these things in your calendar, you're planning your time around that, and it's not like you're trying to stick it in there, right? And so make sure that you plan things. Recently, I don't know if anybody has heard of KW Glee, or if they have kids in KW Glee, but they started an adult program, and I made it, and I'm in it. But what I love about that is that every Monday I show up. I don't have to decide anything. I just have to decide to show up. They tell me what to do, what to wear, what to sing, what we're gonna. It's the only thing in my life. I don't have to make a single decision except to show up. And that even if I'm so tired, being able to give yourself that time, it definitely helps balance you out for the hard things that come maybe the next day. And then be a team player. You're only as successful as your team. And don't be afraid to hire people or work with people that are at your level or better. You can't be all things all the time, and you also aren't going to be perfect at every part of your job or your business. And so I love hiring people that at some point are going to take my job. Why? Because then I'm going to move on to the next thing. I also love watching them succeed and going, wait, I help bring them to that next level, right? So don't be afraid of people who might be at your level or higher. And then my last one is define success on your teams. Your path is going to be unique. It's going to be different. The way you do your business, the way you do everything will be different. So you need to define what success means to you and pursue it. And don't strive for like something super far off. I know when I was a kid growing up, all my friends said, I'm gonna be a millionaire, I'm gonna live in a mansion. And I was like, you know what? For me, that's a really hard goal. Like, it's not gonna happen to all of us. So let's start with baby steps. And I remember at a very young age, I decided that I will know I'm successful when I can go to the grocery store without a calculator and a shopping list. Right? And when that day came and I could just kind of show up and be like, this looks good, I'm gonna cook it, I realized that I was successful, and then I started my next goal. So it's those small steps. Don't strive for something that might be too far off, because you tend to be more disappointed on your path to getting there. Whereas if you do these smaller ones, you feel success, you feel accomplishment to that big goal. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you having me here today.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for that. That wraps up our speakers. So again, a big thank you to all of the women sharing some insightful advice today. Thank you so much for being here this morning and sharing that. A reminder, of course, those notes are going to be sent to you following the event here this morning. So I want to thank, once again, our sponsors for today's event. So thank you to our title sponsor, Heffner Lexus and Heffner Toyota, gold sponsors, Home Hardware Stores Limited and Wilfrid Laurier University, event sponsors, MTE and the Ray Lipsky Partnership, supporting sponsor, Oxford Learning, media sponsor, CTV Kitchener, design sponsor, W Design Co., and our event partners today, Good Co Productions and the Walper Hotel. And again, a big thank you to all of you for coming here this morning once again. It was so nice to see everyone. These events are always so much fun to go to. So if you are looking for more networking opportunities, there is a full calendar of upcoming events over on the greaterkwchamber.com. So their website there. The next one, we hope to see you at the International Women's Day Breakfast. That is Friday, March 9th. So tickets are on sale now for that event. So thank you all once again for attending. I hope you all had fun. Get home safe or to work, wherever you're going to next. And thank you all for joining us today.